Hi, this is Brittany Whitbeck, and this is my presentation on constructivism. What is constructivism? Constructivism is a theory based on how people learn. They construct their knowledge based on their prior experiences. In the classroom, this theory is applied by the teacher, encouraging the students to think about and question themselves and their strategies. There are three main foundational theorists behind constructivism: Jean Piaget, John Dewey, and Lev Vygotsky. Jean Piaget's theory was on how a child's mind develops. He believed that for children to learn, they should be allowed to construct their knowledge based on something that has meaning to them. John Dewey completely rejected the idea that schools should focus mainly on repetitive memorization. He instead proposed a method of directed living, which would base students' education on real-world experiences. For Lev Vygotsky, he strongly believed teachers and students should be equals in the classroom. He believed that the social interaction between the two would help students comprehend ideas and concepts that they would not normally be able to do on their own. Next, I'm going to talk about 5 main reasons constructivism differs from traditional ideas of teaching and learning. Curriculum. In a traditional classroom, learning is strictly based off of a curriculum and reading from the textbook. It begins with small parts that end up into a bigger picture. It mainly focuses on the basic skills students are to learn. In the constructivist classroom, the main emphasis is on the students and the students learning and asking the questions. The teacher shows the students the entire picture while being able to break down the lesson into smaller parts when needed. Students are viewed. Students are viewed traditionally in a classroom by being expected to sit still, listen, and take lecture notes. They would then have to take a test on the information that was given to them. While in the constructivist class, students are encouraged to think about the lesson and have a discussion with the teacher and their peers. Having group discussions help the students develop their own knowledge and ideas. How students work. Traditionally, in a classroom, the students work alone. There are times they might work with a group or with a partner on a project, but the students mainly work by themselves. In the constructivist classroom, the students mainly work in groups. While students will at times have to work by themselves, the main way they get their work done is by doing it together as a group. This helps the students develop social and language skills. The teacher's role. The teacher's role in a traditional classroom is very direct and is seen as a superior authority, which is basically what I say goes and don't question it. In the constructivist classroom, the teacher's role is negotiable and interactive with the students. There has been negative feedback in regards to the constructivist teaching due to the negotiable and interactive way the teacher teaches the classroom. The negotiation is used in regards to learning, asking questions, and the interaction with the students. The teacher is still in charge and has the main authority. Assessment. Traditional assessment is with standardized and written tests. Students are expected to have the correct answers to questions that are given to them on a piece of paper and are expected to answer them all in a timely fashion. While in a constructivist classroom, written tests are given but are not the main focus of assessment. Teachers assess their students by observing their work, projects that are being done, and discussions within the classroom. What is the PAR model and how does it relate to constructivism? The PAR model is set up in 3 steps: present, apply, and review. The first step is present. This is where you present new materials to students and allows them to think about it or think it out for themselves. Students will understand what the goals are and let them know how important their work is. The second step is apply. This requires the students to apply the new material that was presented to them into their thinking. This helps make sure that the students understand and can remember the information in the future. This step can include problem solving, making decisions, or creating projects by using posters or group presentations. The third step is review. This method encourages students to go back on their prior learning to explain and concentrate on key items. This helps their understanding and aids the students in practicing and making sure they can recall certain information. This can be done through checking their work by using the apply part, asking questions, and listening to their answers, and even written tests. The PAR model is related to constructivism by encouraging students to use hands-on projects and applying what they learn rather than listening to lectures and prove what they understand. Encouragement in group discussions is just as important in the PAR model as it is in a constructivist classroom. The only difference is the PAR model is much more detailed and laid out in 3 steps, while constructivism is not. A scenario that I would teach in my classroom using the PAR model is a science experiment. This experiment would be based on the states of matter, solids, and liquids. In this lesson, the student would participate in the experiment along with me instead of just doing busy work after the lesson. After going over the lesson on matter and having explained the differences between solids and liquids to the classroom, I would present my class with a Ziploc bag full of chocolate chips. Each student would get an individual bag with their individual chocolate chips. I would then ask the class if anyone knew what was inside their bag. Then I would ask them if they knew if this item was a solid or liquid. Once we have established that the items in the bag are solids, I would have each student open their Ziploc bag and take out their chocolate chips and place them onto a paper plate. I would then ask the students if they knew what would happen if we put the chocolate chips in our hands and held them together for about 2 minutes. When we have all their guesses, we would then test out their theories. After the 2 minutes are over, I would ask the students to open their hands and see what happened to the chocolate chips. The students will see that the chocolate chips have been melted. I would then ask them what state of matter they thought the chocolate chips were in now. We would then have a discussion on why they melted and why they were in liquid form now. Then we would place the gooey chocolate back into their Ziploc baggies and place them in the freezer for about an hour. After the hour was up, the students will then take out their baggies and we will have a discussion about what happened to the chocolate after placing them into the freezer for an hour. Once the students understand that by placing the melted chocolate into the freezer, the liquid is turned back into a solid, I would have them take out their science journals and reflect back on what they learned, the experiment we conducted, and why those things happened in the experiment.